Hey everybody, Brian Johnson here, founder of E3 Firearms Association, along with
Adam Paincho, founder, president, and master instructor.
And welcome. We've had a really good topic, a really good segment that came up that we hear a lot, we want to talk about, and that is like when to carry, when should I carry? You know, this is just, you get so many different answers, so I figured let's get the expert here and our master instructor and talk a little bit about it. And I'm going to talk from a newbie standpoint.
Yep.
Some stuff I do, some stuff I don't, and as you're talking, I'm going to ask some questions. And, you know, again, what I ask and what I talk about, you know, we're not suggesting you do. These are just ideas and conversations to help educate you to make the best decisions for yourself and your lifestyle. But I want to go ahead and just, you know, first of all, get your thoughts, because I know this is a question that comes up quite a bit.
Yeah, it certainly comes up a lot, Brian. You know, when should I carry or when should I not carry? You know, so, you know, first off, if we're discussing this, obviously you've made the decision that you want to carry at least some of the time. So, you know, it begs the question of when to carry and when not to carry. You know, here's the deal. You know, I ask folks sometimes, hey, when do you carry? You know, when I think I'm going to need it. You know, I wish I had that type of insight, but I don't, and I don't know anybody that does. You know, I hear a lot of folks say, well, you know, I only carry when I think I'm going to need it, or I'm headed to a bad part of town, or maybe there's a current event that just happened, you know, so I want to make sure I'm packing my gun, you know, for something like that. But the reality is you just never know. You never know when or if wherever you'll ever need a firearm to protect yourself or somebody else. You know, so personally, the way I approach it is if I can legally carry in the location I'm at, I'm going to carry. You know, so for me personally, it's not a if I'm carrying, it's I'm carrying a gun. You know, I'm carrying a gun in the appropriate equipment that goes along with it. It's not really a question. You know, so and that's something you really need to think about. And there's a lot to that as far as how you're going to dress and carry yourself and things you're going to do or things you're not going to do. So when to carry, you know, I realize that you have to deal with the law. Obviously, you know, we certainly don't want to end up in a legal battle or find ourselves getting arrested for something that, you know, we either knew about and we just broke the law, or maybe we didn't know about. Maybe we crossed the state line and didn't realize it. That'll certainly get you in some trouble. So you need to be aware of your law. And, you know, something that kind of goes along with when to carry, you know, we've had the conversation before, Ryan, of policy. So, you know, you walk up to a store or, you know, something like that, and it's, you know, maybe you can carry legally in that state, in that city where you are, but, you know, on this specific store it says, you know, guns, and, you know, a line in a circle, you know, through it, you know, no guns, you know. Does that stop you, you know?
No, but
yeah.
My understanding is, as a newbie,
Yeah.
there's a difference between a policy and a law.
Yeah.
And what I've been told is, if, you know, I might be legally allowed to walk in there and do it, but if they know or ask me to leave, I just need to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and certainly not going to argue with anybody. But, you know, and you bring up a good one, though, law versus policy. Obviously, law we're not going to break. You know, we're going to get ourselves in the hot water, and it's just not worth the risk. You know, so you don't want to break the law. That's a given. You know, policy is something you're going to have to make conscious decision. You know, so if you roll up to a store, you're in your car, you're carrying your gun, you know, inside the waistband, something like that, and you just run in and grab something, you walk up, and the sign clearly says no guns in here. Well, that's a policy. That's a store policy. That chain or that individual store or institution has decided to make that a policy. That's not a law. It's a policy. So, you know, are you going to go back to the car, secure your gun, maybe risk it getting stolen, or maybe even worse, you get in some craziness happens in that store and you get in an altercation? You know, is the policy going to get in the way of you carrying a firearm? You know, and protecting yourself, having the ability to protect yourself? That's a question that you're going to have to answer. I'm not going to answer it for you. I know what I do, you know, so, but that's something you're going to have to think about. But, you know, generally speaking, when to carry, if you can legally do it, then you should be carrying. You know, it's, I often, you know, kind of make the analogy of insurance, you know, so you carry insurance on your vehicles, for instance. So I drive a truck, you know, so I've got a great insurance policy on my truck, you know, but if I'm on a trip, I'm down in Florida for a week or something like that, I don't call up, hey, yeah, go ahead and cancel my insurance this week. because my truck's parked in my garage, because sure enough, my garage will burn down, or a tree will fall in, crush my garage and crush my truck, So it's one of those things, you never know when you're going to need it, is reality. Hopefully you never ever need it. Folks, the last thing we want is for you to get involved in a situation that you need your firearm, and more importantly, we want to educate you on how to not even get into that situation in the first place. And the other thing to think about, the gun is not always the answer. In
But
fact,
it can be the problem.
It can certainly be the problem. Not always the answer, and can certainly be the problem. So, having it is better than not having it. It would be horrible to be, you have the proper training, you have the proper permits, you can legally carry, and you find yourself in a situation where you could save a life. You could save the life of maybe a third party or a loved one or yourself, and you don't have the means to do that. That would be a pretty horrible situation to be in. So I encourage folks, if you can legally get away with it, then carry. You really should carry all the time, because you just don't know when you're going to need it, is the bottom line.
And make the commitment. I mean, I can tell you firsthand, I know years ago, I'll give some real life examples of when I used to be in the mindset of, I'm just running down to the store in my shorts, so I'm not going to take it. Or, today I'm just going to my parents' house, so I'm not going to take it. Listen, I have real life examples years ago, and, I used to have that mindset. And then years ago, just all within a short time, I was going to my parents' house, and I'm like, I'm just going up there, so, told my wife, I'm not going to carry, we're just going to help there. So we're going up the highway, and I get a flat tire. Have to pull off the road, about a half mile off the highway into a gas station, and I'm in a bad area.
Yeah.
And literally had somebody walk up while I was sitting there waiting for the tow truck, walk up to the car as I'm standing outside and say, wow, this is really a nice car. Because I have a Tesla, nobody really ever saw those and stuff. So he was like, oh, can I see inside it? I want to see inside. And he literally started to grab the door handle to try to get in the car and look at the car. Now, here I am saying, where's my firearm? And that was a real life example of I wasn't fully committed to making the decision to be a responsibly armed citizen that's going to carry all the time. That was a situation and I just thought, I'm just running to my parents' house. So you don't know. That was a flat tire. Anything could happen like that.
Those are great examples, Brian. I've experienced a lot of things firsthand. The students I've trained and the folks I've worked with, and I've heard those stories a lot. And the reality is, you never know, when you're going to be in a situation like that. And here's the deal: the day you walk out the door and you're fully prepared, you got your gun, you got your spare magazine, you got your flashlight, you're just ready to deal with anything. You're mentally prepared. Maybe you just wrapped up a training course the week before. You're just ready. You're not paranoid, but you're prepared. You get out there. Well, you're not going to deal with anything. It's rather nothing's going to happen. It's that just like you said. You're running out to the folks' house, or you're running down to the store for a gallon of milk and a newspaper. Pick up something. That's when it's going to happen. That's when you're going to find yourself possibly fighting for your life, or find yourself in a situation where you could literally save somebody else's life and make a situation better, and you don't have the means to do it. That's when it's going to happen. My experience is, bad things don't happen when it's convenient. Bad things happen when it's inconvenient. So you need to just have the mental preparedness to be ready to deal with stuff.
The mindset.
Yeah, have the mindset, and have the physical ability, meaning the tools to do stuff. That's really important. So, carry all the time. Don't confuse law with policy, or policy with law, that is, and be smart out there. Some other things to think about. I'm often asked this, when to carry. So, I'm going out with my buddies, and we're going to have a few beers. We're going to hit the bar, have some wings, have some beers. Is it all right to carry? I'm not going to answer that for you. That's a question you have to answer.
Other than the law, because there are some states you can't have a firearm in them.
Certainly, and know your law, because different states have different laws surrounding alcohol and firearms. Bottom line, regardless, you need to be responsible. You are responsible for your own safe actions. And if you have a firearm on you, it's concealed, and you're drinking a little bit, and you may find yourself in a situation. Well, that gun better not come out. It better not come out. So you just got to be very conscious of that, and you got to use good discretion, use good judgment. I like throwing back a cold one occasionally, and certainly, but and I always carry a gun. I think you know that. It's a matter of being responsible, being smart, know your surroundings, and know when it's just not going to be appropriate for you to get involved in something.
And that's why you hear in the industry, responsibly armed citizens. It's not just responsibly because you got your concealed weapons and you did your 4 hours. Responsibly means all the other stuff that surrounds how you think, how you operate, how you deal with other things within your life when you're carrying a firearm, which is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you got to carry responsibly, and that is just, that's the deal right there.
So the one that carries, so here's some other questions we have a lot. And we actually have somebody on our staff that is a perfect example of, because people say, I'm just running down the street.
Yeah.
To me, it's like car accidents. The majority of car accidents happen within a mile or two from your home.
They sure do, yeah.
So it's the same scenario.
Yeah.
So just because I'm running down the street, or another one I hear a lot of people say, well, the clothes I'm wearing today, I'm wearing shorts, so I can't carry. To me, it's like, well, it's a mindset thing. It's a
challenge accepted.
Then either change how you dress, find a firearm that will work for you to do that, or whatever it is you got to do. But that's like a mindset. And the other one is, we used to, the person on our staff we talked about, he'd say, well, I carry when I'm going to this city or this big city, or I'm going into this bad area or something like that. And he had an actual incident, literally, really close to his house.
Yeah, he certainly did.
And so that's the example of a mindset again. It's not a selective thing. It's not like a pick which one you want. It's like you either going to make a commitment and you should do it, or maybe you just don't.
Maybe
it's
you should
okay.
do it. Yep.
But so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
Clothes and all that kind of stuff.
There's probably not going to be more getting into what to carry, but versus when. But you're going to have different setups for different different lifestyles out there. So maybe it is the summer, like you said. You're in flip flops, shorts, and a tank top, or you're out with your family at a theme park or something like that. That's going to be different than you're up here in New Hampshire, for instance, and it's February, and you're wearing 3 layers of clothing, and you could throw a rifle under there if you wanted to. Obviously, that wouldn't be practical or even advised, but different setups, different clothing, it's going to affect what you're going to carry. You could probably get away with carrying the same gun in like all seasons and all environments, but the holster's probably going to change. You're going to have to be a little bit more strategic about where you place it. So you're just going to have to change it up. Maybe if you're one of those folks, you got your favorite concealed carry gun, well, you're probably going to need 2 or 3, 4 or 5 different holsters that are going to work for your different, your lifestyle, different, clothing that you wear. And maybe sometimes it's got to be off carry, maybe in a briefcase or a purse for the ladies out there, or something like that. Or, maybe it's in an ankle holster, or a pocket holster, or shoulder holster, or on the hip. There's just so many options out there, and there's no one answer that's going to fit the bill there. But, going back to when, how about all the time? How about all the time? And the wonderful thing is now, obviously, E3 Firearms Association, we're not a political organization. Obviously, we're Second Amendment supporters. That goes without saying. The great thing is, there are so many states now that have a reasonable concealed carry law and process for you to get a permit to legally carry. And a lot of those states have reciprocity. But there's some out there that don't, and you need to be very cautious if you're simply just traveling through or stopping in, to visit a site in one of those states or something like that. A lot of things to really consider there. But carry. If you're gonna make that decision to carry, then carry, and do it all the time, and do it religiously, and have the proper tools to deal with something out there. That's a whole nother subject in itself.
Yeah. Great. Well, hopefully everybody, you enjoyed this segment, and we look forward to bringing you more. And by the way, if you like this video, come to e3firearmsassociation.com to learn more about our association and how you can get more in-depth training like you just heard, and share this with your friends. Thanks.